Welcome back to another installment of The Human Element, where pen tester and offensive security professional Busra interviews security pros from around the world to learn more about who they are and how they got into hacking. In this episode, she'll talk with Got.Milk. Let's dive in.
So I'm Busra, aka RE100. So shall we start with the first question?
Sure, sounds good.
Okay, perfect. So I know about you already. I did my research, but tell us about yourself, who you are, what you're doing, your position at Offsec, and all about you. I'm muting myself now.
Let me see. So, yes, I am Got.Milk, spelt incorrectly in leap format, but that's beside the point. I work for Offensive Security. I've been here, it'll be 8 years in April now, thinking about it. So, yeah, been here for a little while. I've bounced around from the company, from department to department. I'm currently, let's have a think. My current job title is Kali manager. I do a lot of the decision making and day-to-day handling with Kali projects, Kali Linux, and the direction of where that's going.
Okay, this is a brief introduction. So let's continue with the next question. When and how did you start hacking? I listened to your podcast on Callcast with Albert. Mm-hmm. So I know most about these answers, but still, let's share with the other people in the community. How did you start hacking?
Would you like the short answer or the long answer?
Long answer, please.
All right then. So I'll do story time here. Let's go down a slight little tangent. Go back to days of when I was. In the UK, we call it college. I think people in America call it high school. It depends on where you are in the world. Doesn't matter. So in my college that I went to, I had the luxury of doing Cisco CCNA as one of the modules. And if you've ever done it or you've heard about it back then, it was especially dry. It was a lot of reading on a screen. I think the only practical element from it was actually making a Cat5 cable from scratch. No, we didn't do anything else other than literally just read the screen and press next. It was, if we're being honest, dull, dry, and boring at a lot of the times. So you can imagine you kind of need to do things to keep yourself entertained and engaged. Now, the guy that sat to the left of me at that was a pure Linux nut at the time. And he was just basically reading up on Linux. That, like, this news out, this is up, this has changed. And one day he goes, oh, Backtrack 2's just been released. And I'm like, okay, what's the deal about this one? And he goes, a load of stuff. And I said, all right, okay, I'll download this one too. So I guess at that stage we also had a really, really bad WAF or network nanny, whatever you want to call it, that prohibited you to download certain files. So of course we figured out beforehand how to get around it, because this is back to the days of before broadband was a thing, and you did all your downloading at school where they actually had a semi-quick, stable internet connection, where otherwise we couldn't get it. So yeah, downloaded it, installed it, took it home, installed it, and then it's a case of, all right, now what do I do? And I kind of then at that point started saying, next day it was college again. You kind of then spent all days just Googling, searching and answering it, and it's just kind of going around in that big old circle. Yeah, so that was going back to the days of when I was in college. It was been a fair few moons. Well, also let's say Backtrack 2 beta been released, which many, many moons ago. Does that answer the question, or do you want me to go into depth anymore or expand on something?
That's the perfect answer, yeah.
Sorry, I ramble. I forget a lot of things.
No worries. This is the perfect story. So mine is a bit interesting. I had double major back in college. We call it college like university. Mm-hmm. So I did math and computer engineering, and I was thinking that I was going to be a software developer because most of the curriculum was about it. Then I started doing an internship at a bank, and one day one of the IT guy decided that we're going to order snack. So we were like 20 people at IT, and he created a survey so that everybody can like choose what they want. Then all of a sudden, one of the food got like 100 hits, and everybody was looking at each other. It's IT, it's only 20 people, and somebody just said that, oh, that's the security guy. He probably hacked the survey. So everybody just laughed and continued their life, but I was frozen because, oh my god, this is amazing, you know? I'm a small woman, I'm really tiny, and I can be super powerful behind screens. It's not about hacking surveys, of course, but I felt thrilled when I hear about this, and I talked to the guy, and I just basically put my diplomas to trash and decided a new career in my life. So I'm super happy that I started, but yeah, my story is a bit interesting.
There's always in the back. I think that there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of boringness, but when you get that one bit of excitement, it's the best adrenaline rush in the world. You get it when you do the hack, but you also then have that sheer panic, but also a little bit of excitement when you've been hacked. Going back to the days of college again, we're all geeky. We're all doing Cisco. We're all geeky. We all like playing video games. So we ended up setting up a clan web page, and it's some home bodged together PHP application. Then we kind of liked it. We had a forum on it and some custom code. But we also had like if I remember, like a high score something or other. But someone managed to find cross-site scripting injection, and they put this stupid like spam bot alert thing pop up that would do all these redirects and got really annoying. But that I remember saying, yes, someone's hacked our site. Like, how do they do it? How do they do it? And then you had to try and bypass, and the whole cat and mouse game took off. And yeah, it's an excitement. It's a thrill. I know not everyone gets it, but the people that do, once they kind of get their bite into it, they don't often let go in it.
Yeah, you're totally right. So my next question is a bit related to what we talked about already, but why do you hack? I think every single hacker has a unique answer to this question. Like I said, I'm feeling super powerful behind screens when I get into a server. That thrill that I have, it's not comparable to anything that I have. But why do you hack? What's your unique answer?
Again, do you want the long answer or the short answer?
Always long answer, please.
Right, then let's go down a massive rabbit hole, why don't we? Let's open a can of worms. To you, what is a hacker? How do you define hacking? I know this is like really getting deep now, philosophical questions and all, but how would you define it? I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. You didn't expect this, did you, on the interview?
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's a casual conversation. A person that tries to understand how things work so that he or she can break it.
Okay. I have someone's going to knock on the door in a minute. I do apologise.
No worries.
I'll be back in literally 1 second.
It's alright, we can cut this part. It's okay.
Sorry, Amazon. Sorry.
It's alright, no worries.
Okay, I'm not going to, there's a lot of smarter people out there than me that have defined it. They use a lot more big, complicated, scary words, but how I personally defined it is it's doing something different than what the original author intended or what they designed to do. That's how I define hacking. Now, again, as I say, other people might have a different opinion on it, whatever. But with my loosely done definition there, you can hear it and read it in different ways. Another way of looking at that is to say mods or modifications. Okay? I have younger siblings than me. I've got a younger brother and sister that has a bit of an age gap between us. And it's like, okay, so what do you buy teenagers? And it's like, well, I used to be a teenage boy many, many moons ago. I remember it being like awkward, like, what do you want for your birthday, Christmas, etc. So I came up with the idea of actually getting them a Nerf gun. I was kind of like, all right, you can do this bonding, we can go around the garden, we can fire bullets at each other, etc. Except for I've made a few fatal mistakes. They're younger than me, so they're doing like triple backflips, somersaults, the whole 9 yards. and I'm getting out of breath from just standing up. So it's like, this doesn't seem like a level playing field. So I then modified or changed my gun to make it shoot a little bit further. So it could also then have more bullets, so I can then don't have to spend all ages reloading. So that's then I kind of then started to level the playing field in that aspect. And of course, that is cheating. Like if you cheat in games, etc., it is bad. But then I was like, they eventually cottoned on that something wasn't right here. And then we actually had a bit of a bonding experience of, all right, so I've done these modifications to my gun. This is how you can do it. So then I was showing them what I did. And of course, you've got these kids that the only thing that they do is school. They've got all the time on their hands. So then they took the modifications to the next level, and they were still doing the triple backflips, etc. But then they have a better gun than me, so then we stopped playing that game because I was losing all the time. But the point being is, it doesn't have to be malicious. This was some type of little modification that we've done. That also was a deliberate hack, that you can call it. Another one, again, going down another rabbit hole here, is, I'm going to really start to show a bit of my age, remote controls. Back in the days before smartphones, to control a TV, you had a remote control. Now, every appliance had one, so like the TV, your VHS player, DVD, Freeview, cable box, whatever, the hi-fi. So you had all these different remote controls. You were losing the batteries in them all the time. The range on them was absolute rubbish. So I remember like just putting a paperclip in so you can then use one battery rather than needing to have two batteries. Now again, is that hacking? Because I've done a modification, I've changed something for me to be able to use the remote control.
I would say
it
yes.
Just kind of, that to me is hacking. Now, when I explain this to my granddad, he just says that's not hacking, that's just fixing something. Now that kind of is, again, a different way of looking at things. Again, hacking doesn't have to be evil, it doesn't have to be malicious.
Yeah.
The remote control instance, that's a positive impact. There's something good that can come of it. Yeah, okay, the slight cheating with the Nerf gun, that's a bit of a grey area, but then when you think of Hollywood and all the hackers are there with the hoodies on, you always kind of see them tapping away, doing something bad. And then so I'm trying to get my message across of what is hacking. I'm happy to say I'm a hacker, but I also don't agree with hacking just has to be on a laptop. It can be all sorts of things. That's what I'm trying to get at. So along the conversation of going back to where I used to be, what was my first ever hack? For my definition, probably, as I said, tweaking the remote controls, one of the first ones that I can remember as a kid. Just putting like paper clips in or taking it apart, putting a bit of kitchen foil over the sensor so you can then bounce it off it, etc. But if you mean like what's my first hack on a keyboard, it was going to the project probably of de-ice. It's a vulnerable VM that you could download off the internet. Actually, it's a vulnerable live CD. So you would download this image, you throw it into VirtualBox or VMware or whatever you want to use and span it up as a whole new instance so then you can remotely hack into it. I probably got around to doing that very soon after discovering Backtrack 2 because of like, all right, I've now got this hacking operating system. What do I do with it? I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to do anything naughty. I don't want to get caught or anything along those lines. I wanted something safe that I could hack on. And so I quickly then discovered these whole series of vulnerable VMs, which then became into a different project. But that's, again, another tangent down the road. Does that answer your question?
That definitely does. That's why you are the gut milk. Seriously, look at how unique you are. Oh my god, I'm super excited right now that we're having this call because when I first started my career, you were always there. Do you know this feeling when you see snow out there and there's a plain sight field that nobody touches? Yeah, your blog post was just like this. I mean, when I see your blog post, whenever I search for something, it was always there. And you were the first person that talks about it. You were the first person that touches the snow field, you know? So I am super excited about hearing all your answers because I know that learning is forever. And I learned a lot from you. So, wow. Okay.
Thank you. I'll also just simply say, going down another area, I don't feel like I come up with unique content. I feel like a lot of the things that I've done before, it's already been explored, it's already been discovered. It's just, I wrote about it in a way that I don't think had been done before. It's not like it's a unique concept. It was just, that was my way of presenting it, was a different way. I'm not saying it's the best way. I'm not saying it's a unique way. It was just my way of doing it. That was all I was going to say.
Yeah, I see. So my next question is about hacker community, because I know that you are so important for hacker community. You were a student admin first at Offsec, then your blog posts. Basically, you are always there, so everybody knows about you, and I'm sure that everybody learns a lot from you. So what does a hacker community mean to you?
The hacker community to me is everything. It might not appear, especially in recent years, it might not appear that, especially on the surface level, it might not appear it, but deep down core, I own everything to the hacker community. I wouldn't be where I am today if there was no hacker community. Yes, the whole scene and the whole industry's changed as a whole because finance, money, people have woken up to it and realized we need to get to it. So as a result, the industry's changed, the community's changed, people have changed. For better or worse, it is what it is. But I own absolute everything to the community, and I have only the best intentions with what is done. When I was younger and I didn't have as much social responsibility, let's say, I could spend a lot more time sitting and talking to people on one-to-one and doing all that. I then was posting more, I was sharing more, and there was definitely engagement. I mean, back in the day, it used to be on IRC. Now everyone's moved to Discord. But time's moved on slightly, and I will say I've now got a family. So again, free time starts to then disappear. But then I've kind of also then taken a step back and saying, yes, it's been great doing one-to-one support and helping, but then what can you do for people? Because that doesn't scale well, right? So then it's what can you do to help people in mass, trying to get close to as much as a one-to-one support. Because you can't be a one-to-one support. You just can't. But what can you do to get as close to that? Because that one-to-one doesn't scale well, unfortunately, because it takes time up, right? So that's what I've been trying behind in the back rooms, behind closed doors. That's what I've been trying to discuss on my day job, of what can we do going forwards, especially for like the Cali community. What can we do there? But it's also then what can we do as the InfoSec community as a whole is a bigger question as well. So yeah, I know in recent years that people have been asking me things, and I'll try my best to get back to them. I mean, if they're really slow or I give them like short answers. It's not that I don't do it because I don't care or love. It's just now because I'm trying to work on some projects behind the scene. And one of my New Year's resolutions was to actually stop, go back, take time, and actually make the time once again for people. And I like to think people have started to notice. I know we're only day, 5 into the new year at this point, but I actually started it before 1st of January. Again, does that answer the question?
That definitely does. And we're so lucky to have you in the community, definitely. I have one more question, but before that, I want to add another one. Why this cow photo? Where does this come from? I always wanted to ask you. What's the meaning of this?
Where did the cow photo come from? The cow photo comes, as you can imagine, to the name of Got Milk. The Got Milk name came out as a running joke between friends and I. Back when I was underage drinking, it was a case of you used to go to people's house parties and you kind of mingle that way. So I used to come up to people's houses with a case of beer in one hand and then some milk in the other hand. Why milk? If you can't tell from my silly voice, it's because I'm British, and one of the stereotypes is we drink a lot of tea, and especially in the morning, I don't function unless I've got a cup of tea. So that was my hangover cure, is I used to provide cups of tea for people. can't make good tea without milk. So then it just became into this runny thing of, oh, are you coming to this thing? Have you got beer? Have you got milk? And it just kind of stuck. People used to just send messages saying, got milk, and they kind of thought it was hilarious. So when I was then making up my name, because I wanted something originally unique into Google when I first did it. So if you typed in my name, you have no hits. So I thought, right, type in got milk, and there was a load of stuff. So it's like, all right, I'll make it like what they do in Hackers, and they do the whole leet speak, and they replace a few letters. So I did that, and I was like, boom, hit into Google, nothing. Little did I know, I actually misspelt leet speak, and I actually replaced one of the letters incorrectly because I am dyslexic. So that's a kind of like a nice shield I have every time I look at my own name. So yeah, I ended up typing in got milk into Google, didn't get any hits. So then started making all my alias using this. About a week later, someone else decided that they think it was on a photo sharing site. I can't remember what it was now, but anyway, it was a lady that was obsessed with budgies. So if you typed in my name back in the day early on, you would see a lot of people would associate me being a female person that was also liking animals. And it's like, you know what? I'll just roll with it. Technically, I got there first, but so yeah, for a while it was just playing that into Google and whoever won on the SEO front, I guess. And then the cow image that came along with it. Well, cow's milk, got milk. It just kind of made sense. I also like to experiment and editing and changing photos around, so that's what I did. I found a picture of a cow that looked quite cool, and then I just manipulated it in a bit, and that's how it came about, really.
This is super cool and unique story. Mine is super boring. I was a mathematician. I got math diploma, and it's binary 1, 0. Are you 1 or 0? Oh my god, I'm feeling super boring right now.
No, it's all good. I was looking at earlier, going look in the calendar, saying, okay, because that's the first time I actually noticed it. And now looking at your profile picture, let me see if I can do what I was going to do. So let's see if you recognise this. Okay. Can I? It said it's here. Screen sharing is disabled. Mm-hmm. So instead, let's see if this works. Does that work? No. Technology. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Small world situation going on.
Yeah, super cool. Alrighty. Okay, I have one more question. What is your advice to new hackers? Because I'm sure that you are getting so many DMs about like how to get into this industry, because people are realizing that this is a really cool industry and exciting things happening every single day. I'm getting so many DMs because probably I'm a woman and people are like curious. How did you get it? How did you get these certificates? You know? So if you're also getting these questions, let's answer once and for all. What's your advice to new hackers who are trying to get into InfoSec?
I'm going to go again. I'll answer the question like I only know see fit. I'm going to ramble, so please let's see where this goes.
Of course.
The industry, I feel, is relatively new. I know technically on paper it might have been around for a couple of decades, but if you think of other industries, they've been around like 100 times longer than what IT's been around. And InfoSec's just like a really small slither of IT. So, and if we think of it in that, InfoSec, yeah, okay, so you look at some of the old films and you like war games and you can see like, okay, so Hollywood's been aware of it, so it's been around for longer than then. But it's only let's say in the last maybe 30 years, it's kind of been on the radar, but it's only actually there's only been financially backing, let's say, in the last 15 years. So as a whole, this industry, I personally would say, is really, it's in its infant stages. As a result, it's still finding its feet. I don't think there is a fixed path of, you must do this to get this, to get this, to get this, which is what a lot of people want. They want a path that they can just follow and go into. And that's why if you ask and read around, you will see how people just fell into their job. Is because there isn't any other way, or there wasn't any other way to get a job. It's just one of those things that happened. You didn't set out with that mindset of, I am going into InfoSec. It's just something that either you created to happen, or it just naturally happened around you. So with that being said, yes, there are degrees where you can go to university, college, and you can now specialize doing InfoSec. And then when you now become a qualified certificate saying in this industry. But from my opinion, my university was really theory based. The hands-on definitely wasn't there. And there was this really big disconnect. And again, without doing their courses, I can't comment, but I have from what I know of it, that's how I would see it. You probably have learned all the theory, but it's one thing reading up about it, but when you're actually on the front line doing it, it all goes out the window. You need to it needs to truly be muscle memory and saying, oh, well, I remember it, or I kind of vaguely remember it, or I skipped that lecture. It's just not going to work. The best people I know for being pen testers or red team, whatever term you want to use, is people that were doing, let's say, 5 years or 3 years or 2 years on help desk. So they have that understanding. They understand how the help desk system works. So when they try to do a social engineering attack onto the help desk, they know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to know the workflow. They're going to know the policies. They're going to know what's going on behind the scenes. If you're just fresh-faced to it and saying, well, what do they do? You've not got that experience. And then once you've done, let's say, a bit on help desk, you need to do a little bit of, say, system admin or network admin to actually understand, let's say, how systems work. What do people do? Where are the business constraints? What are the priorities? Again, if you're just coming fresh out of it with a degree, and you're just trying to skip it into a fast pass, you're going to miss all this experience out there. Now, everything that I've just said about doing these other previous jobs, that's something you can't just get overnight. A bit of paper is not going to give you that experience. It's something that needs time, which from what I can see, a lot of people now are just wanting to jump straight into it. Either it's because they see the industry pays well, or they're just wanting a change or something else. You need to, and long story short is you need to bring experience to the table, and that just takes time, and that just keeps doing it in perseverance. So the more that you do stuff, you can use that stuff, and you can see InfoSec as a whole. I was talking to someone that was an electronic engineer. He has a different way of looking at things. I've also talked to people that are really good C# developers. They see things in a completely different way to, let's say, what a system admin sees things. All different points of view. Yeah. So that is kind of part A of that answer. The part B of it being, what makes you stand out? So let's say you've got the job. What makes you stand out? Again, let's say you've got a qualification, you've got a bit of paper that says it. What makes you different to the next person that's also got the exact same qualification as you? And it is just get involved. Now, it could either be with the community, and there's various ways that you can do it, or you could go down a different route of getting involved in a different method. Now, that could be helping, it could be teaching. I know it's kind of a bit like the community, again, depends on the definition of community here. What do I mean by that? It's, let's say, blogging. Let's go back to what you said earlier and what I was talking about. If you're doing something, write about it. It doesn't matter if it's been done 30,000 billion times before. Just do it. Just write it out, do it, and you might do it in a different way that might just make it click for someone else. And that will be really beneficial to that one person. And it's then, or another way of doing it is like, well, I can see there's a project out there that needs help. Go help that project. I mean, there's various different ones on GitHub that says help wanted and feature requests. Learn how to do all those. Go and get involved. So then when you can, let's say you're applying for a job, you can then say, well, I've then helped these communities. I've done all this. I've worked on this project. I've worked on this tool. I've made this. Or I've got a blog here. You can see how involved I am. Other things is attend conferences, I guess. I am also a real big believer in B-sides. I know we've got COVID going on, so in-person is really not helpful at this point. But B-sides community and the B-sides conference, that's everywhere around the world. Hopefully there's one near you. Originally there was in the UK, there was just one in London, except for I believe they've got 2, if not more now going on. But they are really focused around the community. The talks there, they're not going to be dropping O-days. They're going to be nothing detailed or low-level tech. These are people that are starting out, that are trying to make connections, and that's a fantastic starting point. It's one of the conferences that I always look forward to going to when there's an opportunity to. Yeah, and it's just basically get involved, try things, do things, write about it, just do it. Don't wait, just get involved, I guess.
That's a great, precious answer. I'm sure that this will help so many people. And these are all the questions that I have. It was amazing to meet you finally. Thank you so much for your time.
Likewise. No, thank you.